blinders are on nice and tightly, aren't they?
The other animals humans eat, use in science, hunt, trap, and exploit in a variety of other ways have a life of their own that is of importance to them apart from their utility to us. They are not only in the world, they are aware of it and also of what happens to them. And what happens to them matters to them. Each has a life that fares experientially better or worse for the one whose life it is. Like us, they bring a unified psychological presence to the world. Like us, they are some bodies, not some things. In these fundamental ways, the non-human animals in labs and on farms, for example, are the same as human beings. And so it is that the ethics of our dealings with them and with one another must rest on some of the same fundamental moral principles.
Contrary to political and religious dogma, animals do not belong to us. They are not commodities. They're not property, and they're not inanimate, stupid objects who can't think and feel. That Descartes Cartesian way of looking at animals like they're machines, it is outdated and, quite frankly, 100% insane. Because if we all understand that animals can use their eyes to see, ears to hear, noses to smell, mouths to eat, legs to walk, feathers to fly, fins to swim, genitalia to procreate, bowels to defecate, I'm always perplexed that most people don't believe that they can also use their brains to think, feel, be rational, be aware, and be self-aware. Am I supposed to believe that every body part on an animal functions just like it's supposed to? Except the brain? Those lies are thick. The propaganda from the animal abusers is enormous.
Mucha gente realmente no se ha parado a pensar en esto y lo que considera es que, por ejemplo, tenemos que respetar, pues, digamos, a los seres vivos, ¿no? Pero realmente cuando examinamos nuestro propio caso, entendemos mucho mejor por qué el foco debe estar en la sintiencia, debe estar en las experiencias que tenemos y no en el hecho de estar vivo o estar viva. Y podemos pensar en lo siguiente: ¿qué sucedería si, imaginemos que tenemos un accidente, ¿no?, y que perdemos irremisiblemente la conciencia? Entramos en un estado en el cual ya nunca nos vamos a despertar y no vamos a tener ningún tipo de experiencia, ni siquiera sueños, nada. Nuestro cerebro puede mantener igual otras funciones, como regular nuestra respiración y demás, pero ya no alberga más experiencias, ya no sufrimos y disfrutamos en ningún sentido, ¿no? La mayoría de nosotros, en un caso así, consideramos que nuestra vida ya no tendría ningún valor, ¿no? Y si nos dicen, ¿crees que deberían, pues, igual tu familia o tus allegados, gastar mucho dinero en mantenerte vivo, conectado ahí? La mayoría decimos, no, da igual, desconecta la máquina, ¿no? Es que mi vida ya no tiene ningún valor ahí. Entonces, si mi vida no tiene ningún valor ahí, es porque realmente lo valioso de mi vida no es el hecho de que mi organismo esté vivo. Lo valioso es que yo pueda continuar teniendo experiencias, que es lo que valoro en mi vida, es lo que hace que mi vida sea buena. Pues esto es obviamente algo que no solo tenemos tú y yo, y no solo tenemos los demás seres humanos, es algo que tenemos un gran número de animales no humanos. Es necesario tener un sistema nervioso centralizado para poder sufrir y disfrutar. ¿Por qué? Porque los sistemas nerviosos lo que hacen es transmitir información. Entonces, por este motivo, los seres que no tienen sistema nervioso central no pueden disfrutar. Entonces, una planta, por ejemplo, un hongo, una bacteria, no solo no tiene un sistema nervioso central, sino que tampoco tiene ninguna otra estructura física análoga, parecida, que pueda cumplir estas funciones que cumplen en nosotros y nosotras el sistema nervioso central.
These are innocent beings who have done nothing wrong to us. Because I'm pretty sure we can all agree in at least one thing right now, that hatred in its purest form is a learned behavior. Racism, sexism, heterosexism, anti-Semitism, misogyny, these are all learned behaviors. When kids are 2, 3, 4 years old playing on a playground, they could care less about the color of their friend's skin or their religious background. I don't think there's any doubt that hatred in its purest form is learned. So speciesism is no different. This could be a new word to a lot of people. It's up here on the screen, right below vegan. It's the word species, with an ism attached to it. And I want to define this word as the unethical, unprincipled point of view that the human species has every right to exploit, enslave, and murder another species. And all because we believe that our species is so more special, so more superior than the other ones. We're the only ones that count, and we're the only ones that matter. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that line of thinking, that thought process, that is the basis of all forms of discrimination. One group saying and thinking they're more special than everyone else, and they proceed to exploit them, oppress them, denying them their right to be free. They treat them like property. They enslave them in many cases, and in many other cases they murder them with premeditation and without penalty. And understand something essential about discrimination. It is never okay to be picking and choosing which forms of discrimination to be opposed to. Which ones to say are evil, racism, and which ones to say are okay, speciesism. Discrimination is evil on its foundation, or it's not. Cannot have this one both ways. It doesn't work like that. I want to ask you to use some empathy right now. And when I say empathy, what I'm saying is place yourself in the position of the animals and start to view this issue from the animal's point of view, from the victim's point of view. When you examine any form of injustice, whether humans are victims or animals are victims, please remember the victim's point of view. If you are not the victim, don't examine it entirely from your point of view, because when you're not the victim, it becomes pretty easy to rationalize and excuse cruelty, injustice, inequality, slavery, and even murder. But when you're the victim, things look a lot differently from that angle. If you think there's such a thing as humane slaughter, I'm curious, do you also think there's such a thing as humane rape, humane child molestation, humane slavery? How about a humane Holocaust? In fact, what is your definition of a Holocaust? Is it a massacre of human beings or a massacre of innocent beings? I thought it was innocent, which brings us to the biggest Holocaust massacre of all. Every year in America, without mercy, we murder 10 billion land animals and 18 billion marine animals. Not for health, survival, sustenance, or self-defense. People eat meat, cheese, milk, and eggs for 4 reasons: habit, tradition, convenience, taste.
The philosophy of animal rights stands for, not against, justice. We are not to violate the rights of the few so that the many might benefit. Slavery allows this. Child labor allows this. All unjust social institutions allow this, but not the philosophy of animal rights, whose highest principle is that of justice.
In the meantime, I have some rhetorical questions for you. Is slavery, owner, victim, profit, domination, exclusive to the human race? Have blacks, Jews, women, and children been the only victims of this atrocity? Have not cows been enslaved? What about pigs, chickens, turkeys, fish, sheep? If they're not enslaved, then what are they? Free? Do you ever wonder why McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's never show you those images in their TV ads? Instead, they show you smiling cartoon caricatures of animals singing and dancing and playing, lying to you, brainwashing you, programming you not to care about things you would normally care about, things that you used to care about. Right now, at this very moment, on American highways, there are no less than 5,000 concentration camp trucks. Trucks that we've constructed. Inside these trucks, there are living, terrified, innocent beings. Cows and pigs and chickens. These trucks are being driven to concentration camp slaughterhouses that we've carefully constructed all across America. When the trucks arrive, the animals are so frightened, they won't even get off the truck. They're not stupid. They know what's next. So people go on the trucks with electric prods and force them to walk down the chutes to their own death. Or if the animals are small enough to manhandle like chickens, we'll just grab them off the trucks and toss them inside. Inside, these innocent living beings are hanged upside down, fully conscious. In other words, they go in alive against their will and come out chopped up into hundreds of pieces. But you know what's more insane than that? Meat eaters. Walking around like their lifestyle isn't causing any harm. Like it's normal and natural to be consuming violence and death. How would you feel if the day that you were born, somebody else had already planned the day of your execution? That's what it's like to be a cow, a pig, a chicken, or a turkey on this planet. I think this type of behavior is inexcusable and unbecoming of a species that claims to understand right from wrong. The animals have not done one single thing to us to deserve the wrath and the cruelty that we hurl on them.
Morales. Los derechos legales son los derechos que son reconocidos en la ley. Entonces, ¿quién tiene derechos? Tienen derechos quienes son reconocidos como sujetos que el derecho tiene en cuenta, lo cual se denomina en el derecho persona. Cuando hablamos de personas en el derecho no estamos hablando de seres humanos, ese es un uso cotidiano del término. Una persona, legalmente, en el derecho, una persona es un sujeto que primeramente es propietaria de sí misma. Y entonces, como es propietaria de sí misma, no puede ser esclavo de otra persona, no puede ser utilizado como un mero recurso por otra persona, no puede ser una cosa que los demás sujetos puedan utilizar, ¿no? Entonces, el derecho distingue entre personas y cosas. Lo que esto sí nos deja claro es que quien tenga o lo que tenga una protección legal y no sea una persona no puede tener derechos propiamente. Entonces, por ejemplo, yo puedo aquí en Barcelona poner una bomba y destruir, por ejemplo, la catedral. A mí me van a sancionar por eso. ¿Por qué? Porque la catedral está protegida legalmente. Pero eso no quiere decir que la catedral tenga derechos, porque la catedral no es una persona, ¿no? Entonces, lo que sucede a día de hoy es que los animales disfrutan de ciertas protecciones, pero no son considerados personas. Entonces, por eso no tienen derechos. Entonces, dada la forma en la que está constituida la ley a día de hoy, quienes defendemos a los animales, quienes defendemos su consideración moral, aceptemos o no una teoría de derechos morales, ¿no? Podemos, como ya dije, tener otras teorías, podemos ser igualitaristas o hay múltiples otras teorías, ¿no? Pues, independientemente de cuál sea nuestra teoría con relación a los derechos morales, a día de hoy lo que debemos defender es derechos legales para los animales, lo cual suponga que no tengan ya solo una protección así trivial o secundaria, sino que tengan una protección rigurosa como la que disfrutan a día de hoy los seres humanos, ¿no? Y es importante tener en cuenta que a día de hoy no solo son personas los seres humanos, por ejemplo, las empresas son consideradas personas, los organismos públicos son considerados personas jurídicas, ¿no? Entonces no hay ningún obstáculo jurídico, no hay ningún obstáculo de este tipo para no considerar a los animales como sujetos de derechos legales, como personas. Y eso tendría que ser uno de los objetivos del movimiento antiespecista.
I mean, if somebody out there truly believes that humans are meat eaters, I'll give you 2 challenges to prove me wrong after class, and please do so if you want. I want you to go outside and locate a squirrel on campus. And when you spot that squirrel, put that carnivore speed into effect that everybody has and chase that squirrel down, pounce on him, and catch him in your mouth. No tools, no weapons, no cages. No one's allowed to be a cheater and a fake carnivore with this challenge. And when you are done killing the squirrel in your mouth, be my guest, eat the squirrel. Eyes, nose, face, toes, tail, anus, inner organs, blood, fur, and don't forget about the brains. You don't get to pick and choose which body parts you want to eat, and you don't get to cook it either. If people want to be real meat eaters, I'd love to see people eat raw flesh from the bone, down to the bone, with nothing left but the bones, day after day after day. And challenge number 2, find a 2-year-old child. Place the child in a crib. In the crib, put 2 things: a live bunny rabbit and an apple. If the child eats the bunny rabbit and plays with the apple, send me an email, would you? Let me know, because I'm going to come back and buy everyone in this room a brand new car if that happens. Benzes and Beamers, leather interior too. In fact, next time I'm at Georgia Tech, if that happens, I will eat a steak sandwich in front of everybody, chase it down with a chili dog with extra cheese, a bucket of ice cream, and a bag of beef jerky. And enough already. You're not a caveman and you're not a cavewoman anymore. Stop acting like Neanderthals. This is 2010. Give it up. It's not cute and it's not funny because animals are being abused. It is not your right, it is not your freedom to do this to them. You don't get to have freedom when somebody else doesn't. That's a violation. You might have had a pretty good excuse before I got here of being uninformed and misinformed. Okay. That's fair. Honestly, well, I was the same way for a long time. I'm kind of curious though. What's the excuse now? You got a choice today. When you leave this room, you can choose to be radically kind. Never to intentionally harm another animal for breakfast, lunch, or dinner ever again. And these creatures have never harmed you, violated you, or taken advantage of you in any way, shape, or form. The least you can do is return the favor. Or you can stay radically cruel. Keep the status quo as is. Make sure animals have no freedom. Make sure they never experience one drop of human kindness. Make sure their babies are stolen from them. Make sure their beaks are sliced off, their horns are cut off, and their testicles ripped out. Make sure there's a knife in their throat every second of every day for eternity. I really hope you'll make the right choice.
The philosophy of animal rights wins, its critics lose. It remains to be seen which side emerges as the victor in the ongoing political battle between what is just and what is not. Thank you.